And we're back. Welcome to the final day of the opening round of the Nations League. I know, another international break has come and gone, but fear not, international fans, there's another one in just 3.5 weeks' time, which I think is a little bit too soon, to be honest. I think people really want to see the new season getting up and running with obviously all the major leagues back in action this weekend and the launch of the new format of European football coming next week as well. But we have got one more day of international fixtures for you to cover today. We've got 9 more games in the Nations League, as well as a whole bunch of games across the rest of the world available on the community cave. Make sure you are looking at the link in the description of this video or in the pinned comment or in the top corner of your screen so you don't miss out on any of my other international predictions. As for last night, it was actually a pretty good night for me. I got 5 out of 8 in terms of correct results. I even got 1 correct score, getting the Wales 2-1 victory absolutely spot on. I was only 1 goal off getting correct scores, and I think 3 others as well. So I'll take that. In terms of the ones we got wrong, Kosovo did correct the wrong of their opening result, winning 4-0 away in Cyprus. France did end up beating Belgium, which was the most likely scenario. And to be honest, I can't even remember what the other one was. But it was Norway. Norway beat Austria 2-1, which I said was going to be a tight game. I went for that 2-2 draw. So all in all, a pretty good night in terms of Nations League predictions on what was a very tough night, which brings our Nations League result total to 22 out of 43. So we've managed to sneak back over 50%, 2 correct scores, and our season tally is now 69 out of 136. 9 more games to go today, so if you haven't done so already, please remember to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. We'll of course be bringing back Premier League predictions on Friday morning before we launch all of our European predictions at the start of next week. And we also have League Cup and all of those other things over the course of the next few weeks before we then do this all over again in 3 weeks' time for the next international break. And without any further ado, let's get into it. We've got matches from all 4 of the leagues in the Nations League today. And we start off with League D, Group 2. And for those of you that were not paying proper attention last time, I said that the confusion around League D Group 2 is that you had Moldova and Andorra in the same group and their badges are virtually identical, and not a single one of you noticed that I accidentally put the Andorra flag in the last video when it should have been the Moldova flag. So I've actually not changed the graphic for this because this is still the Andorra flag and it is Andorra taking on Malta today. Now going into this game, both of these teams are in absolutely abysmal form. Neither of them have won a game, I think, in their last 10. And Andorra lost to Gibraltar in a friendly earlier this week. So it's really not looking good for either of these sides going into this game. Obviously, Malta lost to Moldova in the group opener. I really can't split them. In theory, Andorra should be considered the favourites because they are much higher in the world rankings. But if you actually look at the bookmakers this morning, they're saying that Malta are the favourites for this. And I think that's kind of justified with how poor Andorra have been recently. I'm not quite confident enough to go all out on the Malta win. So I am going to go for a 1-1 draw. But genuinely, that is such a hard opening fixture for today's matches. And speaking of difficult fixtures, the next one is Latvia taking on the Faroe Islands. And these two are literally one place apart in the world rankings. I think one of them's 136, one of them's 137. I can't actually remember which way round it is. But these two sides did meet in a friendly in June last year, where Latvia did end up winning. Sorry, June this year, so only a couple of months ago. And Latvia did win that game 1-0. However, Faroe Islands managed to get a draw against North Macedonia in their group opener, and Latvia were heavily beaten by Armenia 4-1 in their group opener. So that kind of balances the scales back out again. And like I said, these sides are literally next to each other in the world ranking, so it is near impossible to call. So once again, I'm going for a 1-1 draw. I think this is another really, really tough day's action. The next game, of course, is then North Macedonia against Armenia. North Macedonia, I think, who are going to be disappointed with how poorly they played against the Faroes. And Armenia are going to be very confident after how well they played against Latvia. These two sides did actually meet in a friendly last summer, as opposed to the others meeting earlier this summer. And North Macedonia did win 3-1. I think this is going to be another tight one. I think this is one of them ones where I would normally go 2-1 to the home team, which is why I have gone 2-1 to North Macedonia. I think there's not too much to split between them, but I think with the home advantage, North Macedonia should have enough. But if Armenia produce a performance like we saw against Latvia, they could very well take the result in this one. From League C then, we move on to two groups, should I say, in League B taking place today. We start off with B1 and the game between Albania and Georgia. Now, obviously, both of these sides, very, very good wins in their opening matches. Georgia winning 4-1 at home. Albania winning 2-1 technically away in Ukraine, but obviously not. But I don't know. Both of these sides were knocked out by Spain in the Euros, obviously went on to win it. And the last time that these two sides met, they drew in a friendly. So, again, you tell me how you split these two sides. Both with really good wins in their opening fixtures. Both knocked out by Spain at the Euros. Drew the last time they met. For me, it's going to be another draw, and I'm going to go for 2-2. But this is one of them ones where I think both these sides are very good at attacking. Both these sides can be a little bit vulnerable defensively, and I can see this being one of those very open games where that's why I go for 2-2, because this could easily be a 2-1, 3-1 either way, or they could just end up meeting in the middle, which is why I've gone for the 2-2 draw. Other game in this group, obviously both sides come into this one off the back of severe disappointments in their opening games. Czechia obviously losing 4-1 to Georgia is not a very good result at all. Ukraine losing 2-1 to Albania, I think they'll probably would have expected better from that as well. So, again, tough to place it. No real recent head-to-head between these two sides to go on. So you're sort of looking at individual quality of players. And, again, there's not too much to split between them. But I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to the Czechs because I think, again, just at home with the quality that they do have, Ukraine not really performing very well against Albania. I just think, again, that little bit of extra home advantage is going to give the Czechs what they need to get the result in this one. So I'm going to go for 2-1 to them. But again, genuinely believe all three results possible in this one, as well as all of the previous 4 games up until this one. That then brings us to League B Group 2. And obviously in football, all 3 results are available in every single fixture. But I would certainly hope that that is not going to be the case when England at Wembley host Finland tonight. Lee Carsley's side, off the back of their impressive win over Republic of Ireland, take on a Finland side that just got beat 3-0 by Greece. So, realistically, this should be a romping victory for England. It's Harry Kane's 100th game for England. He'll obviously be leading the side out. There'll be a big parade, I'm sure, for Harry Kane, England's all-time goal scorer. And the question is, how many is he going to score tonight on his 100th game? I'd wager he'll get himself at least 1. I'm going to go for 4-0 to England. I could honestly see it being more, but it depends on the approach that we take. Obviously, I spoke about it in my reaction, how we controlled the game in the second half by being less attacking. I think we could potentially see something like that again. I think Lee Carsley's strategy is very much going to be get the go-ahead goals and then wait for your moment in the latter parts of the game. So it may not be as heavy as 4, but I think with how poor Finland were against Greece, how dangerous we looked against Ireland, I think we could get a few more goals in that first half. That means the other game in the group is, of course, Republic of Ireland taking on Greece. Ireland off the back of their defeat to England. Greece off the back of their victory over Finland. And these two sides actually were in the same Euro qualifying group just last year. And Greece won on both occasions and pretty comfortably as well, it has to be said. So Ireland are going to have to produce a really good performance tonight if they're actually going to get anything from this game. And to be honest, I look at Greece's form, the teams that they've performed well against recently. I look at Ireland's form as well. And I really don't see any other result than a Greece victory tonight. I really think Ireland are going to have to produce a sort of performance we've not seen from them in recent years to get anything from this match. I'm going to go 3-1 to Greece. I think they've got the talent available to get a result of that calibre. So that is the way I see it. We'll see how Ireland are able to respond. And then finally, we have League A, Group 3. And we start off with Hungary and Bosnia, who are both still licking their wounds from each conceding 5 respectively to the Germans and the Dutch in their opening fixtures. At least Bosnia were able to get themselves 2 goals whilst conceding 5, whereas Hungary, of course, with no reply to Germany's 5. The interesting thing is now, though, is of course that Bosnia have now lost 6 in a row. We spoke about how they'd lost 5 in a row going into the Dutch game. They've now lost 6 in a row. Again, no real recent heads-to-heads to go on about between these two sides. But again, kind of like I've spoken about with other fixtures already in this video, I think home advantage is going to have a factor in this one. And I'm going to go for 3-2 to Hungary. Both sides, again, defensively not very good, do have very good attacks. And I just think, again, with the team being at home, I think Hungary are going to be considered the favourites, and I think they're just about going to edge it. But it could be a very entertaining game. And speaking of entertaining games, we round off match day 2 of the Nations League, and we round off this international break with Holland/the Netherlands taking on Germany. And I think this is going to be a really, really entertaining game. Obviously, both sides very creative at going forward. The Dutch, I think, are a little bit weaker defensively, and I think that's where this game is going to be won or lost. Yes, they do have quality defenders, the likes of Van Dijk and De Ligt, and then the more defensive, sort of like their wing-backs are more better at going forward than outright defending, but they've been very vulnerable defensively, I think, over the last... Even in the Euros, yes, they got to the semi-finals of the Euros, but they were always conceding goals, whereas Germany, I just think, are in a much better place than the Dutch right now. I think they were very unlucky to lose to Spain in the Euros. These two sides actually met in friendlies over the last 2 years as well. It was a 1-1 draw in Holland. It was a 2-1 win in Germany. So, I don't know. I just think from what I've seen of these two sides over the last few months, even though the Dutch went further in the Euros than the Germans, I just think it is going to be Germany that end up coming out on top tonight. I'm going to go for 3-1 to Germany. I think their attack is just a little bit more potent, and I think their defence is just a little bit more solid than the Dutch right now. So that's the way I see it. I'm going to go for a 3-1 German win. As always, let me know all of your thoughts down in the comment section below. Don't forget to once again check out all of my other international predictions taking place on what is the final day of the international break. I will be back tonight after the England game with my post-match reaction to that. Then I'll obviously be taking a day's break before we then start doing the Premier League predictions all over again. And then we start looking ahead to the launch of the Champions League. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for listening. I'll see you very soon.